Some people say that the Bible is just a bunch of fairy tales. What they don't realize is that this is not really the insult that they think it is. I loved fairy tales when I was a kid. They had a particular quality that the Happy Hollisters and other children's books didn't have. There was darkness in them, but there was also a glimmer of hope. They were heavy and delightful at the same time. Years later, when I discovered Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, I recognized this same quality, shining light within the oppressive darkness. It had all the enchantment of fairy tales, but it stretched across hundreds and hundreds of pages. So awesome. Over the years, especially as a Christian school teacher, I found myself defending books like A Wrinkle in Time and Harry Potter. So to say it nicely, I discovered that some people were suspicious of fairy stories because they were Christian. This didn't make any sense to me. I thought fairy tales went right along with my Christian worldview. I wasn't able to articulate all this until I read an essay by Tolkien. I felt that fairy tales were good because they were realistic. Yes, you heard me right. Some Christians believe that fairy stories are unrealistic or even spiritually dangerous. One article I read insisted that God would never have his children take refuge in unreality, and that fantasy is anti-reality and an affront to the Christian mind. Now this is extreme, but many Christians feel a milder version of this same suspicion. They worry that fantasy is an unhealthy escape from reality. Tolkien knew this objection well. In his essay on fairy stories, he agrees that fantasy is a kind of escape, but not an escape from reality. It is an escape to reality. He illustrates this point with two kinds of escape: the deserter who flees his duty in a war, and the prisoner of war who escapes from a POW camp and goes back home and rejoins the fight. So escape is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what you are escaping from and what you are escaping to. Are you neglecting duty or returning home? Fantasy and fairy tale is an escape to a deeper reality that is our true home. Is reality really a world filled with machines and algorithms, anxiety and competition, consumption and individualism, pragmatism and rationalism, materialism and scientism, biblicism and racism, Twitter, or X, and TikTok and Snapchat? Is that reality? Or is reality something else? What if fairy tales are a lot closer to reality than all this stuff? For Christians, reality is the vision of the world that we find in Scripture. For fairy tales to be realistic, they need to be consistent with the big story that we find in the Bible. Well, that is just what I'm going to argue. Let's talk about apples. Simple and ordinary, right? How do we get apples? You can look up the scientific explanation. Pollinators, pollen tubes, fertilized ovules, ripening ovaries. This is one way to describe it. It's the one that we teach in most science classes. It's the one AI will tell you because it's the one that's all over the internet. But does this explanation actually capture reality? I want to give you the fairy tale explanation, which is much more realistic. Look at this picture of an actual apple tree. It goes from this, to this, to this. Pretty amazing, right? But there's more. These turn into these. Let's look at that again. These turn into these. And if that's not amazing enough, you can eat these. And still more amazing, your doctor and your mother both want you to. Which is more realistic? The utterly boring, mechanical, cause and effect, slavish process, or the amazing one with radical transformations? Well, which one is the most consistent with what we find in Scripture? The Bible begins by telling us that God made everything, and He called it all good, and He was delighted in it. That means creation is startling, unnecessary, and wonderful. God made it out of nothing, which means nothing is ordinary. If we call anything ordinary, we are mistaken. Ordinary things are figments of our imagination. Fairy tales remind us what is real. They give us the startling and the wonderful. For example, they sometimes give us a golden apple. And when we read about the golden apple, we go, "Whoa, a golden apple." But then we realize that green or red or yellow apples are no less amazing. It's just that we come across them more often. But what does this have to do with their amazingness? Nothing. Fairy tales remind us that creation is not a machine grinding away, because it has to. Creation is a joyful outpouring of delight. Green apples exist because the creator delights in green apples. Green apples? Whoa, cool! Fairy tales don't just reveal the wonder of creation. They also reveal the reality of limits. Cinderella's fairy godmother warns her not to stay at the ball past midnight. Her happiness depends on not doing something. If she stays out past midnight, she will be humiliated and lose her happily ever after. This pattern appears everywhere in fairy tales, and it's an echo of Eden. Accept the curfew and happiness endures. Break it and humiliation follows. Do not eat from the tree and enjoy paradise forever. Eat of it and you will surely die. Limits are real. That's reality. G.K. Chesterton says that this biblical reality saturates fairy tales, where incomprehensible happiness rests upon an incomprehensible condition. He calls it the doctrine of conditional joy. You may live in a palace of gold and sapphire if you do not say the word cow. When I searched online for reflections on limits, all I found was articles and images and slogans insisting on the opposite. It's everywhere. In fitness culture, in Silicon Valley, in parenting trends, in advertising, in the way we talk to children, in the way we talk to ourselves. Our culture hates limits. And because we hate limits, we've never been blessed by the benefits that they bring, even the ones that seem arbitrary. But if we want to live in reality, we must recover a sense of limits for our own sake, for the sake of others, for the sake of the world. Fairy tales bring us back to reality by reminding us that limits are real and that they are good. So, fairy tales restore our sense of wonder. They help us see the world as God actually made it. Startling, unnecessary, wonderful, and full of joy. What we said about apples is true about everything in the cosmos. Fairy tales also restore our sense of limits. We can be so much happier when we understand that we shouldn't stay out all night, and that some fruit ought not to be eaten. What happens when you live between wonder and limits? You are filled with gratitude. Grateful people are a heck of a lot happier than resentful people. In these ways, fairy tales bring us back to the way things really are. But we are not done. They are also very honest about sin and evil. We will take that up in the next video. Thank you, and we'll see you there.